All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, plumbing nerds, water softening enthusiasts. My name is Tyler, and I'm here with NuvoH2O today. We're just going to do like a general Q&A on our products. This is the first Q&A that we've done. Some of you might be familiar with us through the Build Show, and we did do a Build Show Q&A just a couple months back, but this is the first one we've done on our own. So I am briefly just going to go into like how the systems work, what makes our softener different than the traditional water softener. I'll answer questions as they come through. And then we also have a pretty good, we have a pretty healthy list of places to buy the product now that we'll dive into in just a bit. Okay. So just jumping into how the system works, we are here at NuvoH2O, we are a salt-free water softener. So we use just 100% natural citric acid to soften the water. The citric acid we use is all FDA approved. We actually derive it from vegetables, so it's food grade, safe for you guys, the environment, plants, pets, all that good stuff. Our system, instead of using the ion exchange process to soften the water, is actually going to introduce a small amount of citric acid that instead bonds with the hard water minerals in a process called chelation. This takes your calcium carbonate and it transforms it into a calcium citrate. This same process not only prevents hard water and should be preventing hard water buildup on your faucets, fixtures, in your appliances and plumbing, but it's also going to break down any existing buildup that you might have. I believe we are currently the only system on the market that's going to clean your pipes in addition to keeping them healthy for the future. This is beneficial to your appliances. You're going to get more life out of them, in addition to just kind of being generally beneficial to the home, keeping those pipes clean, you know. So our system, because we are introducing a bit of citric acid, is going to lower the pH of your water. A neutral pH in between 7.0 and 7.2 is ideal. That is our goal. In that range of the 7.0 to 7.2 scale physically cannot form anymore. However, our system is meant for above average pH. So we do want to start with a pH of 7.3 or higher, and then our system is going to lower that a little bit. Our goal is to get it to a neutral level, although the chelation process will still happen if your pH is not at a neutral level, or if your starting pH is too high that our system cannot lower it to a neutral level. The chelation process will still be taking place. You will still see the softened water, and then you'll see your pipes be cleaned out as well. The benefits of our system compared to just the traditional ion exchange, not only is it environmentally friendly for the hi Cody not only is it environmentally friendly, and we are not only is it environmentally friendly, but we're not using electricity. We are keeping the healthy minerals in your water. Calcium carbonate is actually essential for your body to process water and drinking water. Our system is just transforming that to a calcium citrate, which is no longer the hard form of that calcium. That's what prevents and breaks down the scale buildup. Calcium citrate is actually pretty healthy for you as well. You can actually buy the vitamin supplement at most pharmaceutical stores. Your traditional ion exchange softener is not going to do that. They are physically removing every hardness ion and injecting 2 salt ions in its place, which does its job. I'm not here to say that that does not soften the water. It softens the water, but you can't drink that water and you can't use it in your home. And it's just, over time, is not going to clean out your appliances the same as our softener will. So you said you have just the one filter. Is it just the softener with your well water? Because if you have just the softener, so with you having a lot of rust in the water, that indicates that you probably have some iron in there. I always recommend doing a water test before you purchase any additional systems, just because we kind of want to see what we're working with. It does sound like you have a bit of iron in the water, and our softener by itself will not treat iron. Because we are injecting a citric acid rather than removing something, it's not removing your iron. We do actually have two systems that are super beneficial for well water. You could go with either our NuvoH2O or our NuvoH2O. That would just be a softener with a filter included. We would definitely want to look at an iron filter for you, so I would recommend that you check that iron content. But we do actually heavily recommend, we almost require the use of filtration, some sort of pre-filtration. It does not need to be one of our systems, but we do require the use of pre-filtration with our softener on a well, just because well water fluctuates so often. It can change pretty rapidly, so we do recommend having some sort of filter. It's kind of like a first line of defense for that system. I would recommend looking into our duo or our trio system. And if you have any other questions about that, feel free to go ahead and plug those in there. And then in addition to being more environmentally friendly, we're not introducing salt into the water. Our system is also not using electricity, so there's no backflush process. We are not wasting any water. We are not dumping that salt out. Not only are you not worrying about dumping salt, but you don't have to worry about carrying salt anymore either. Our cartridges are 20 inches max. You just have to replace one of those about every 6 months. Honestly, depending on your water usage and which system you have there. If any of you have questions about that or want specifics, feel free to plug them in the comments, or you can also reach out to our helpful customer service team. They can help break down what frequency you should be changing your cartridges on, just depending on how many people are in the home, what size system you have, and how large the home is. Not only does our system not use the electricity, we're not backflushing any waste, but it also isn't going to change the natural taste of the water. Unless you go with one of our taste filters, that is going to improve the smell and taste of your water, but the softener by itself should not be changing the smell or taste of your water. We are introducing citric acid, so you would kind of assume that it does, but we actually introduce a very small amount of citric acid. In fact, to equal the amount of citric acid that like one glass of orange juice would have, you need 86 cups of our treated water. So it is a pretty minimal treatment there. There is not a lot of citric acid in the water anymore. And unless I get any questions on how the system works, I'm just going to kind of jump into the different systems that we have. First and foremost, we just have our single softeners. We have two versions of those. We have the Home and the Manor. The Home system is a bit smaller. It's ideal for homes up to 1,500 square feet, families of maybe 1 to 3 people, but we really recommend going based on that square footage, so you know you're getting the correct amount of treatment for the piping in the home. So we have our Home system, and then our Manor system is 1,500 square feet and higher. The Manor system is kind of our bread and butter here. That's what we sell the most of, because not only does it treat the larger homes, but the cartridge lasts more than double the lifespan of the Home cartridge. So when customers go with our Manor system, regardless if they have a smaller home, they're able to get away with changing the cartridge less frequently. So the Manor system is a higher cost initially, but the cartridge will last much longer, and it's only $20 more expensive than our Home cartridge. In addition to having just the single Home and Manor systems, we also have a duo of each of those systems. So I'll grab our Manor duo. This is our Manor duo system. This is the largest unit that we have here. This, Deb, if you're still paying attention, is what's going to improve the iron in your water. You would put an iron filter in that clear side of the canister. And this is essentially as large as our systems get in comparison to a salt softener. We do have a trio, which would be one more of these clear canisters, just tapped on this end here, so it would be 3 across, but that's as large as our systems get in comparison to that salt softener. The duo systems we have, the most common one we sell is going to be a carbon filter or a charcoal filter, so that just overall improves the smell and the taste of the water. That'll remove 95% of your chlorine, any VOCs in the water, and improve the turbidity. It'll clear that up. So that's the most common one we sell, mainly because it gives you drinkable water from anywhere in the home. But with our Duo system, you can also plug in either a carbon filter or a sediment filter, an iron filter, and a chloramine filter, in addition to having that carbon filter as one of the choices. The next step up, our Trio system, would require that you pick 2 filters, and then, like I said, we've got the carbon, sediment, iron, and chloramine. All of our systems, because we specialize in softening, do come with a softener, so at this time we are not selling filters individually. And if you have one of our older systems and you are looking to add additional filtration, you would actually qualify for our upgrade discount. I do recommend calling into our customer service department about that, or just live chatting us on the website at NuvoH2O.com. We do have a pretty helpful live chat. They can tell you what your options would be for upgrading and how much it would run you. The discount is pretty large. I believe we're running at 75% off right now. So if you do find yourself needing an additional system besides just the softener, give us a call. We will help you around that as much as we can. In addition to all of our whole home systems, the softeners and filters, we also have a couple of point of use systems, specifically for the dishwasher and for the water heater. Because those places in the home, those appliances in the home, heat the water so rapidly, those are very common places for the calcium citrate that is now in your water to kind of be left behind. Because they get so hot so quickly, we can see that some of the calcium citrate will bake on there a little bit. And not all the time, but sometimes it is essential that you just get a little bit of help in those areas, the dishwasher and the water heater. A lot of things can factor into that. It's going to be like the temperature of the water, what type of water heater you have, what type of anode rod is in that water heater. And then back in the dishwasher, you would want to look at detergents as well. But our point of use systems would connect just directly, almost right before the appliance, just a couple inches before the appliance on the water line in. We also run discounts for customers who already have one of our systems but just need a little bit additional help in those areas. We do run a discount if you have an existing system. We can help you get a point of use system if you're just not happy with what you're seeing in the dishwasher, or if you're still having issues with your water heater. When it comes to our systems, besides giving us a call or ordering online at NuvoH2O.com, we also have a pretty healthy list of retail stores that you can purchase at. First and foremost, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, True Value, Lowe's, and many more in addition to that. With Lowe's, I believe we're not quite in store yet. I think we're going to be in store within the next couple of weeks, but we are absolutely on their website. If you are a plumber or a contractor and you're looking to buy the system or any of our products, I would recommend checking out Ferguson, Hajoka, Wind Supply, Standard Plumbing, several of those plumbing supply stores. There are hundreds other that I quite frankly do not have the time to list today. I always recommend giving those stores a call first to see if they have it, and then if all else fails, definitely give us a call. We can either help you figure out where to purchase it locally, or we can place an order for you over the phone. Let's see what we've got going on here. And then before our live stream started today, we did open up a general Q&A, a list of questions that our customers wanted to see answered, or questions that they have commonly. So we will go through a few of those. The first and foremost is, does your system work with well water? And we already talked about this a little bit. Our system does work with well water, but you are going to need pre-filtration beforehand. Definitely a carbon filter. I always recommend testing the water first, though there's no harm in testing the water, seeing what's in the water, what needs to be filtered out, and then moving on from there. I would hate for you to go and spend money on a brand new system if you're not quite sure if that's what's going to work for you. Will your system make my water drinkable? It honestly depends on what's in the water. Chances are, if your water was not drinkable prior to our system, it will not be after. The carbon or the charcoal filter is going to improve the overall smell and taste, but is not a purification system. It is not going to distill the water. So again, depends on what's in the water. I always recommend starting with a water test. Next would be, is your system a conditioner or a softener? We are a softener. There are more than one ways to soften water. In fact, when we talked about neutral pH earlier, that 7.0 to the 7.2, neutral pHs do occur naturally in nature in northern states, like Washington, Oregon. That is naturally occurring soft water. That is also a definition of soft water, is where the scale is no longer forming. But I do know, because we don't physically remove the minerals, a lot of people like to refer to us as a conditioner. And that is completely fine. As long as you know how the system works and what we're doing, we don't care whether or not you call us a softener or a conditioner. We kind of do both, depending on what your definition of softening water is. And then, can I install a system myself? The answer is yes. If you are comfortable or familiar with basic plumbing, you do have to install this system on the main water line. So if you are comfortable cutting into the main water line, or if you already have hookups from a previous softener, and you're comfortable installing it, then go for it. If not, you will likely have to reach out to somebody that already has plumbing experience, maybe even hire a plumber to do it for you. I guess I could talk about cartridges while we're at it. Same when it comes to cartridges. If you're comfortable turning off the water and opening up your NuvoH system, it's not too complicated. I'll show you our NuvoH2O here again. You'd want to either bypass the system or turn it off, and then you just twist off this canister. The cartridge is housed on the interior. You simply remove it, install the new one, and follow the rest of the steps to get this put back together and turn your water back on. So if you're comfortable taking those steps yourself, go for it. The cartridge, the canister can get a little heavy when it's wet, but it's not required that you get a plumber to do it. That won't void your warranty or anything. All of our systems do have a 5-year warranty on top of that, in addition to a 90-day return policy. Because our system is not only preventing your hard water deposits, but it's supposed to be breaking down existing hard water scale, we see that it can take anywhere in between 2 weeks up to like a month or two before you notice a difference and notice all those faucets and fixtures clear. Which is why we put our return policy there at 90 days. We want to make sure you love it and you have the chance to try it out first. When it comes to changing the cartridge and filter for our home system, the smaller of the two, the cartridge is going to be good for up to 20,000 gallons worth of water. I honestly recommend checking your water bill, see how many gallons you're using each month, and kind of calculating from there how long it'll take you guys to reach that 20,000 gallons. If you're on well water, that is clearly much harder unless you have a water meter installed. So our home system is going to be good for that 20,000 gallons, or it averages about 4 to 6 months. Our Manor system, however, is good for up to 50,000 gallons. That cartridge does average about 6 to 9 months, really just depending on how many people are in the home and, again, that water usage. And then, will you do water tests for me? So we currently don't offer any water testing. Like, I'd love to have you guys send in a sample of your water and we'll test it for you in the back, but we don't offer anything like that. We are working on offering at-home water testing kits, but for the time being, this sounds a little odd, but my go-to recommendation for testing your water is either a pool or a hot tub supply store. They just do really thorough testing. You will have to pay for it, but they're actually pretty accurate when it comes to that. So I'd recommend a pool or a hot tub supply store. You can also pick up at-home color testing strips from local plumbing supply stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, I believe even Walmart or Amazon would sell them, although those color strips are not too accurate, so I wouldn't rely on those. If possible, I would recommend getting a thorough water test done. Either your county extension's office or your city water district should both do free testing. I believe both of those places do. Granted, it's going to depend on your city and state. I'm not familiar with everywhere, but you can check those places for free, in-depth water testing. And then one day in the future, you will see some water testing kits on our website. Those are coming, guys. How much will your system drop my pH? So our system is going to drop the pH very slightly. As I talked about briefly earlier, we don't introduce a lot of citric acid. For example, if your pH starts at 7.6, our system is only going to lower it to about a 7.4, potentially about a 7.3. It's a very slight drop, and it depends on where your pH starts. So in addition to that, it's important that I mention that our system does have pH parameters. If your pH is already neutral or below neutral, when you install let me back up. If your system, your water is already neutral or below neutral prior to installing our system, we don't recommend an install at all. Our system needs to have a pH of 7.3 or higher to be compatible with your water, just because it is going to lower it a couple points. We'd hate for you to install the system with a 7.2 pH and it lowers it to a 7.0 or even lower than a 7.0. Below a 7.0 is when the water can start to get acidic, and we don't want that for obvious reasons. When it comes to hardness, so we do have the pH parameters. Your pH does have to be 7.3 or higher to install our system. We do also have a range for the hardness. We see our system is going to work best with up to about 420 parts per million or 420 TDS. Or if you're looking on a grains per gallon scale, that's going to be up to about 25 grains per gallon. Anything at that range or exceeding that range, the system will start to struggle. It is still working. The system is still going to introduce citric acid to the water, but we're just not introducing enough at that point to capture all the calcium in the water. So I always recommend keeping an eye out on or not even keeping an eye out, but taking a good look at your water ranges before purchasing any sort of system, whether it's ours or a different softener or a different filter. It's important to know what you're working with before you jump into any sort of treatment. Another one we've got is, how can I tell that your system is working? The most technical answer is by testing the pH. You would want to test the pH of the system both before and the pH of the water after. I'm so sorry. Test the pH of the water before and after. Our system should be dropping it very slightly, just that 0.2 to 0.3 drop. If you're not seeing the drop, the cartridge is very likely depleted, or something was wrong with the installation of either the cartridge or the system that is not allowing it to introduce the citric acid anymore. That's our technical answer for how to tell if the system is working. In addition to that, our customers can speak on this. A lot of our customers do notice a difference with our water, like the way it feels, compared to their original water. So most of the time you will honestly notice that the cartridge is depleted. You'll kind of feel it in the water. If you can't, or if you're just not as sensitive to that on your skin, or you don't notice as easily, that's when I would recommend testing the pH. In addition to testing the pH, I would honestly recommend keeping an eye out on the water usage as well. Unless you know for a fact how long that cartridge is going to last you, I would recommend keeping an eye out on it. That way you know you're not exceeding the use or the lifespan of that cartridge. For example, if you exceed the lifespan of a cartridge, nothing is going to happen. That cartridge isn't going to do anything, but the cartridge is now depleted. So the second that cartridge is depleted and we are no longer introducing citric acid into the water is no longer being treated. There's just no more treatment. Scale can start forming immediately again. The beauty of our system is that when you do put in a new cartridge, because it is supposed to prevent your hard water and break down existing scale buildup, it will take care of any scale that might have formed by the time that last cartridge was depleted and you installed your new one. But that is probably going to take a couple weeks, depending on how long you went in between those cartridge changes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the maximum pH our system will work with is going to be upwards of an 8.5 to an 8.6. Anything above that and we see the system will kind of start to struggle with it. You will still see that the system is softening. It is still doing its job, but it like the hardness, it's still doing its job. It's still introducing the citric acid. It can just kind of start to struggle at that point. Do any of our viewers have any questions about that before I move on? I know that was kind of a lot of information all at once. so I can wait a couple minutes. Okay, to plug our retailers one more time, besides us, of course, you can buy our products at NuvoH2O.com. That's Nuvo, the letter H, the number 2, and then the letter O as in oxygen. You can sign up for auto ship for your replacement cartridges, contact us, find independent studies done about our system that go a little bit more into detail about the way it works and how it's proven to work. We do also have our live chat up on there if you need to chat with any of our agents or have any additional questions. So you can purchase products there. You can also go in store to Home Depot, Ace Hardware, True Value, Lowe's, several other stores. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of info dump, so I hope you guys are catching as much as you can. Again, if you're a plumber or a contractor, I'm going to recommend that you go to Ferguson, Hajoka, Wind Supply, Standard Plumbing, a lot of those plumbing supply stores. And whether you're a plumber or just a customer looking to purchase your replacement cartridges, I always recommend calling your local stores to see if they have it first. Takes a couple minutes out of your day, and it's better than driving out there to figure out that they don't have it in stock. All of these stores have the ability to order it, so if they don't have it in stock for you, they could potentially order it, or you can look into getting it elsewhere. If you have any questions about where to get it relative to you, or just our products in general, again, feel free to give us a call, contact us, take advantage of our customer service team. As much as I hate to say that and give them extra work, they're really good at what they do, and they'll be able to answer any technical questions that you have on the system, or just any questions when it comes to the product in general. And then I'll give it a couple more minutes, and unless I have any other questions roll through, then we will probably call it a day. Feel free to take a minute or two to type. We currently don't have a filter that removes fluoride, mainly because the most effective way to remove fluoride is going to be a reverse osmosis system. And those reverse osmosis systems physically remove and pull everything from the water. We don't make a reverse osmosis system. They can be beneficial for drinking water, like if you want to install one underneath your sink in the kitchen so that you're using it solely for drinking water. But as a whole house system, that is actually kind of redundant to use as a whole house system. That reverse osmosis is going to remove all of the citric acid that we have introduced into the water. In addition to that, RO water long term is Not too great for you to drink. Like, it tastes phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but because an RO system is physically removing all of those minerals, as that water passes through your body, long term anyway, the water is actually going to leach those calcium minerals from your body. It is important that your body processes water with those minerals, and if the minerals are not in the water, then eventually the water is going to take the minerals from your body in order to process it. Again, great to drink. I just don't recommend it long term, and I would recommend an RO as something specifically under the sink for drinking water here and there. Okay, and then when it comes to installers, you can actually visit our website at NuvoH2O.com. Again, that's the letter O as in oxygen, not the number 0. Up under support, we do have an installer locator link that's going to take you to a pretty healthy sized map that we have of plumbers that are familiar with our system kind of across the nation. You can zoom in directly on your state and your city to see who is closest to you. You are so welcome. Thank you for the question. And I recommend taking advantage of that. That is going to provide you with, again, a pretty healthy list of at least plumbers in your area that are familiar with our product. Whether or not they've installed it before is up to them, but they are familiar with our product, and at one point they asked to be on that list with us. In addition to our installer locator up on the website, we do also have under installation guides on our website, we have all the PDF versions of our install guides for all of our systems, along with we have 2 build show videos up there with Matt Reisinger. We have the installation guide. It's actually a full installation tutorial for this bad boy, for the Manor Duo. He walks you through installing the system, kind of briefly how it works, in addition to how to install the hard bypass for it, which we require with our new systems. We also have, not only does he have the installation video for the systems up there, but he also has a tutorial for just replacing the cartridges. So if you think replacing the cartridges is your speed and that's something you can do, I do recommend looking that video. Also just all those build show videos in general. I do also think, somebody might have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I do also think that you can find our build show Q&A from a few months ago with our founder Laird. I think that is still up. He goes a bit more into the founding of the company, and then we talk on there with Matt Reisinger as well, just from more of a installer's perspective on the system. Does anyone have any questions about that before I move on? That was a lot of information all at once too. Okay, we have hit a bit over 30 minutes. I think I'm going to call it unless I see any more questions come through, but just one more shameless plug for all of our retailers and our wholesalers. You can pick up our products at Home Depot, Ace Hardware, True Value, Lowe's, hundreds of others. Definitely feel free to give our website a check as well. Take advantage of our customer service team. For wholesalers, for if you're a plumber or a contractor, I'm going to advise you check with Ferguson, Hajoka, Wind Supply, Standard Plumbing, and the dozens others. If you have any questions about any of that, feel free to take a look at our website, see who we have in your area, give us a call. If you are a plumber or a contractor and you're looking for any more information when it comes to working with us directly, if you'd like to be added to our installer locator list, reach out to us, send us a contact us form on our website, give us a call. We can get you in contact with the correct party. We will put you in touch with your channel manager. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate all you plumbing nerds and water softening enthusiasts hopping